Millions of people do not understand what the difference is between an asset and a liability. Today I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys what examples are in your life of assets and liabilities. I can't wait to share this with you guys today. Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Financial Education Channel. So today we're going to talk some assets and liabilities. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys what examples are in your own life of assets and what are liabilities. So let's go ahead and get into this. So I got a little illustration over here. And on this side, we got the asset side, we got the versus, and then we got the liabilities on this side. Now, as I go over this list, you're going to see a few things that are going to be on the asset side and the liability side. And I'm going to go ahead and explain why they're on each side. So let's start off with number one. We got on the asset side home, but we also have on the liability side home. How could a home be an asset and a liability? The reason I put it as an asset and a liability is because that's truly what it is. It's an investment, but it's an investment you have to time properly. If you bought a home in 2007, 2006, 2005, you're probably still underwater in that home, or barely break even maybe a decade later. Whereas if you bought a home in, say, 2009, 2010, 2011, you're up way huge on that because home prices have gone up substantially since that time, especially in a lot of the western states like Arizona, Nevada, some of those states. So that is why a home is an asset. Yes, you pay a mortgage on it and whatnot, and that's no fun, but it is truly yours after 30 years. And that's why it's also a liability, because you can buy that, and yes, it's an investment, but that investment can surely go down. It was once thought that homes could only go up. And boy, was that proven wrong about 10 years ago or 8 years ago, however long it's been since that happened. Number two, on the asset side, a business or a job. This is really, truly your biggest asset because this is what makes cash flow come to you. This is what makes the rest of everything work. Unless you inherited a bunch of money from your parents or your grandparents or something, you need this line to work to make the entire thing go. And there's no liabilities if there's no business or job. So the business is what creates the cash flow, or your job's what creates the cash flow. And that's how you can roll that into more assets, or unfortunately roll it into more liabilities. On this side, I have an apartment. Now, an apartment is just a true liability. There's no asset part, like at least a home, you have a very good chance of that actually being an asset. An apartment, it's strictly liability because you're just paying rent and you have no ownership in that. You're never going to be able to sell it for any money. So an apartment, that's just a liability. Number three, cash is on the asset side and cash is on the liabilities? How is that possible? How could cash be a liability? Well, every day you have cash in your pocket, that cash becomes worth a little bit less. A very, very tiny amount, but it becomes less. A pound of chopped meat 10 years ago was a lot cheaper than a pound of chopped meat is now. A gallon of gas 20 years ago was a lot cheaper than a gallon of gas now. A house 20 years ago was a lot cheaper than a house is now. So cash, every day you have that, it becomes worth a little less. So that's why I put it under the liabilities as well as under the assets, because obviously cash is nice to have and it is an asset because you can turn that into other assets or you can turn it into liabilities. So cash really deserves to be on both sides the same way home does. And I wanted to explain that to you guys, why cash could be a liability. Next, over here on this side, we have CD accounts, savings accounts. Those are two assets. Now, they will only get you small amounts of interest on them, very small amounts of interest, but that's better than cash because they're guaranteed and you'll be able to keep up with inflation at least. If you're keeping just cash, like I said, it's becoming a little less all the time. CD accounts, savings accounts, it's guaranteed money and you'll be able to keep up with inflation. Over here, I got a cell phone. Cell phone is a huge liability because, millions of us every year or every other year, we go buy a new $700 or $800 smartphone. 2 years later, we go to trade it in and we get maybe $150, maybe $200 for that. And we have to pay all that money to the cell phone company in the meantime. So we had something that depreciated by 70, 80% in its value in 2 years, and we had a massive cell phone bill that we probably pay $1,000 plus a year, or somewhere around there, depending on how many people you pay for. Asset insurance. Insurance is a huge asset. It's also a liability. Now, I'll explain why I have that one on both sides. First off, on the liabilities on insurance, you have to pay every month. So it's money coming out of your business or out of your job that you're paying out. And the fact is, most of us will never use our insurance. Health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, all those types of different insurances, we're probably never going to get our money truly worth out of those because we're never going to probably get in that accident bad enough or have that health, problem or, a lot of those things. But it's insurance and it's an asset, and there's in the fact that what if something does happen? What if your house burns down? What if, you get in that bad car accident and you kill somebody? What if you get a terminal, well, maybe not a terminal disease, but a major disease or something like that? That will wipe out your entire asset base. Something really goes drastically wrong and you don't have insurance, that wipes out this entire section. It will eat through everything. So that's why insurance is an asset. That's why insurance is also a liability. And I would put it a little bit more as an asset than a liability. Down here, your education/skills. It doesn't just mean if you have a bachelor's degree, things like that. That means that you're always becoming educated, that you're always learning new skills on your job. If you have a job, you're always searching out, asking your boss, hey, teach me this, teach me this. Always educating yourself, always getting smarter. Hopefully watching this video is going to create a little bit better education on assets and liabilities, always taking it to the next level. And that will always help you down the road. Maybe create more income, maybe make better decisions on your assets versus your liabilities. Education is key. And it doesn't just mean getting a college degree, or it doesn't just mean having a 4.0 in high school. It means ongoing for life education. Over here we have a car. Car's a liability, as simple as that. Most of you guys probably know that. Some of you probably think it's an asset because it does have some value when you go ahead and trade it in or when you go ahead and sell it. So it's somewhat an asset, but I didn't even put it under that category because really it's a liability. If you buy a new car or a used car, as soon as you take that baby off the lot, the price goes down 10-20%. As soon as you take it off the lot. And it just depreciates and depreciates and depreciates. Maybe not quite as fast as a cell phone, for instance, but very quickly that car depreciates over time. Over here, last, stocks or ownership. Stocks or ownership, that can create more income coming in that you don't actually have to work for. Because you can get dividends, maybe you own franchises, a Subway franchise, or whatever kind of franchise, you get income coming in for that. Income, same thing with stocks. If you own dividend paying stocks that are big companies, you get that 2, 3, 4% a year on dividend money. And as long as it's a stable stock, the stock price won't probably go up a ton, but it also won't go down as long as it's a stable company. So that is definitely an asset that can be on your side. And lastly, liabilities, lack of planning. That is the biggest liability of anything. Lack of planning, lack of thinking out situations that could happen in the future, lack of planning for your assets. Lack of planning is by far the worst liability. You should always plan out emergency situations. You should always plan out what type of assets you want to get in the future. Do you want to start that business? Do you want to, put more money in a CD account? Do you want to get in some stocks? Do you want to make, a franchise or whatnot and try to get ownership in a small company? Those kinds of things. Always be planning ahead of time. So that's assets versus liabilities. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video today. I try to do it a little different than some other assets and liabilities videos. I've seen from other people in the past. So thank you so much for watching, subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, you may want to. We talk tons about financial education type subjects like this, personal finance. We also talk a decent amount about the stock market and a little bit about business. So I thank you guys and have a great day.